Part 6. Siheyuan, God-level purchaser. Author, Idle Monkey Brother. Chapter 121. Years later. Zhou Jingming is 99 years old. Through the system, he has already implemented 3 chances to increase his life, 2 of which are particularly dangerous, almost closing the ghost door and taking a round trip. Now, he is not ready to add any more years. Zhou Jingming was lying on the senior hospital bed, tilting his head slightly, and on the other senior hospital bed, lying was his beloved wife Lu Xiaoyi. The beds of the two were very close to each other, and they stretched out their hands to each other and held each other tightly. There are 2 children, grandchildren. What kind of one family is this? There are 34 of them. The daughter and son are the leaders in various fields, and they have also reached the age of gray hair. However, because of the Siheyuan pill given to them by Zhou Jingming and the food produced by the system all year round, they looked like they were 30 or 40 years old. The state is much better than that of young people in their 20s. Even Zhou Jingming and Lu Xiaoyi look like they are only in their early 50s, where are they like people who are 99 years old? 29. Look at the grandchildren, granddaughters, grandchildren, and granddaughters, all of them are dragons and phoenixes among men. They have already made their mark in various fields, calling for wind and rain. Outside the ward, there were pairs of security guards standing in the real nuclear bomb. They were very nervous and did not allow any mistakes. Because those people in the ward, any one of them is taken out, they are all important figures in various industries, and if something goes wrong, it will be an unbearable loss. The senior medical staff are also nervously on standby, and they are all national-level doctors. However, they thought it was very strange, that is, it was clear that the old man's physical condition was very good, and it stands to reason that he could live for a long time, but suddenly the mountains and rivers went down, and his body almost completely collapsed. What makes them even more strange is that this kind of collapse does not bring any pain to the parties concerned, and they can still say their final goodbyes to their children and grandchildren very decently and calmly. Thinking of this old man's legendary life experience, it seems that these things are very normal. Lu Xiaoyi turned her head to look at Zhou Jingming, smiled and asked, "Jingming, aren't you nostalgic?" After knowing each other for all these years, Lu Xiaoyi didn't know that Zhou Jingming had great creations and secrets. But she never spied into these creations and secrets. However, there is always a sense of it. If Zhou Jing is obviously willing, he can indeed live to be 200, 300, or even 500 years old. Zhou Jingming shook his head and said, "It's not alive, it's almost. If I can live to my job, I will really be satisfied, very satisfied, and live again. God does not allow %. You have to collect yin blessings and make way for future generations." Zhou Jingming said and gently closed his eyes. Beside him, sons, daughters, quietly wiped their tears. 2 sons and 1 daughter. They have known since they were young that dad is the most amazing dad in the world, as magical as Dodo, no, even more magical than it. To daddy, they treat him like a god. Daddy, that's their god. Now that their god is leaving, they cannot say anything to keep them. Because it's dad's decision. And Zhou Jingming's grandchildren, who are dominating in various fields and fighting bravely, are now like the most innocent children, with tears in their eyes. If their subordinates, colleagues, and opponents see this, they are afraid that they will be shocked. "What are you crying about, unproductive guys, old man? If I'm gone, you won't be able to hold on." Zhou Jingming scolded with a smile. "Give me all the edges. Read the violent novel, go to the Fila Novel Network." After Zhou Jingming finished saying this, he completely closed his eyes. His mind kept thinking about the past. Oh, yes. His life is really magnificent. Starting with the acquisition system, use the God-level acquisition system to purchase agricultural and sideline products. Acquisition of porcelain, acquisition of jade, acquisition of antiques, Acquisition of factories, acquisition of businesses. Acquired what he thought could take everything. These acquired things have played 100-fold and 1,000-fold effect through critical attacks. In that stormy era, these critical things even became the capital of the country. It has saved countless lives, and how many historical regrets have been fulfilled. Even the course of the history that changed more or less. Let this already great country become even greater, more brilliant, and more brilliant. He has achieved his goal, and he also feels that he has no regrets in life. This is God's greatest reward for him, and it would be bad if he was greedy. Now that his Joe family is in business, his children are excellent, and his grandchildren are even more blue, they are far from needing the blessing of the system. Thoughts are immersed in the system unconsciously. Today, this system space has been built like a fairyland. The boundless sea, the rolling mountains, the vast forests, the crops of all kinds, and the creatures of all kinds. Although it has been emptied one time after another, the vigorous vitality flourishes here. Many of those high-tech factories have been moved to reality, although there are still some in it, but it is already unacceptable in reality, and it is a miracle that is equivalent to 800, so it will have a huge and inevitable impact on reality. In that case, it is better to leave them here. It's a nice place, and it's fun if I can stay here forever after I die. Zhou Jinming sighed, and after a while, another person appeared in the flat space, and that was Lu Xiaoyi. Yes, Lu Xiaoyi also came in. This is Zhou Jingming's permission to Lu Xiaoyi before he died. Is this a wonderland? Lu Xiaoyi, who came here, was amazed. She came here for the first time, and everything here subverted her cognition. Zhou Jingming walked over with a smile and held her hand. Yes, it's a wonderland. A wonderland that belongs to us. As the two spoke, their faces changed. Zhou Jingming has returned to the most subversive appearance of the age of 20, and Lu Xiaoyi has also returned to the appearance of 17 or 18 years old. A pair of beautiful people, standing on the bank of the river, looking into the distance. The future and the past are all gone. Those people in the courtyard, the first uncle, the second uncle, the third uncle, the first aunt, the second aunt, and the third aunt. Those who have hatred, those who have resentment, those who have hatred, those who have kindness, those who are righteous, those who are affectionate. It's all gone. Siheyuan, God-level purchaser. Author, Idle Monkey Brother. Chapter 131. My Lu family, many years of operation, got rid of 2 ancestral properties, 12 properties. And a lot of antique calligraphy and paintings. There are 100 caddies of gold and 500 caddies of silver. All in a safe place. Ancestral property, real estate, I don't plan to take it away. Antiques, calligraphy and paintings, are also mostly hidden in the homes of relatives and friends. If I leave, these ancestral properties, real estate, antiques, calligraphy and paintings, all of them will be handed over to Jingming Yu. Lu's father opened the box, which contained a number of properties, as well as an account book, recording the details of various antique calligraphy and paintings. Father Lu directly handed over the box to Zhou Jingming. I'll entrust you with all of this. After Lu's father finished speaking, he pushed Lu Xiaoyi to Zhou Jingming's side. Xiaoyi, I've entrusted it to you. Zhou Jingming is also unambiguous. Don't worry. Only 3 words, no more superfluous words. The 2 men, however, tacitly understood the responsibility they were shouldering. And when Zhou Jingming took the box, the system's prompt sounds. Ding. Congratulations on your successful purchase. 29. Congratulations on getting the crit reward, you got 120*900 calligraphy and painting. Congratulations on your lucky blow, you got a museum of calligraphy and painting. Ding. Congratulations on your successful purchase. Congratulations on getting the crit reward, you got the antique official Kill Porcelain 78*870. Congratulations on your lucky hit, you got the Museum of Antique Porcelain. Ding! Congratulations on your successful procurement. The calligraphy, paintings, and antiques handed over to him by Lu's father were all critical. Among them, there are 900 authentic works by Zhang Daqian. And since the Tang dynasty, the authentic works of various calligraphy and painting masters. All kinds of porcelain, wood carvings, furniture, etc., have also been critically hit, all of which are fine and superb. Zhou Jingming even won the Museum of Calligraphy and Painting, the Museum of Porcelain, and the Museum of Antique Furniture because of this. Go show them. With this entrustment alone, the wealth obtained by Zhou Jingming is immeasurable. Not to mention, there are all kinds of gold and silver jewelry and jade jewelry for her daughter's family. It's just that there isn't that much of it, so it doesn't crit out of the museum. Zhou Jingming sighed, more moved. Put this box away. He took out the dowry that had been prepared from his arms. As soon as it was opened, a pair of imperial green jade bracelets inside. 2 strings of imperial green jadeite necklace. 2 pairs of imperial green emerald earrings. Father-in-law, mother-in-law, I want to ask to marry Xiaoyi, please set a good day and an auspicious day. This imperial green jewelry comes out in full. Lu's father and Lu's mother saw. It was hard to hide the shock, but immediately, it was full of smiles. The value of the set of imperial green jewelry, compared with the properties of the Lu family. It's not far off. Zhou Jingming's meaning is very clear. Lu Xiaoyi married him, not a low marriage. The property of the Lu family was handed over to him, and it was not for nothing. He is not a poor man who has nothing. He has the confidence to give Lu Xiaoyi a happy life. Good, good, good. Lu's father said 3 good things in a row, if there was anything to worry about before. It is completely relieved now. As for Lu's mother, there are tears in her eyes. Take Zhou Jingming's dowry over. Jingming, we agreed to your marriage with Xiaoyi. 15 years later is a good day, you should get married on that day. In this era, marriage still requires the words of the matchmaker from the parents. Parents are satisfied and approve. That's the biggest blessing for the little couple. Lu's mother took Lu Xiaoyi's hand and handed it to Zhou Jingming. Zhou Jingming clenched his little hand tightly. Lu Xiaoyi was ashamed of Xiafei's cheeks. Glanced up at Zhou Jingming. He bowed his head deeply. Zhou Jingming, thinking that he was about to marry Lu Xiaoyi, was also excited. Take her other little hand over as well. If you read a violent novel, go to Filu Novel Network. From now on, we will be a family. Lu Xiaoyi nodded, making a mosquito-like sound, but in a low but extremely firm voice. Father Lu laughed heartily. Jingming, come, come, our son-in-law has 2 drinks, today, if you don't get drunk, you won't return. Lu's father pulled Zhou Jingming over, and Wang and his son-in-law opened the wine, you have a glass, and I have a cup. Lu's mother wanted to stop it, Lu's father's body, you can't drink like this. It can be seen that Lu's father is in a very good state. I won't say anything. Lu Mu and Lu Xiaoyi also sat back at the table. Continue to enjoy this hot lamb hot pot. Until midnight. Zhou Jingming went out of Lu's mansion, and Lu Xiaoyi came out to say goodbye. Thinking of Lu's father, who was already drunk. Lu Xiaoyi complained slightly. My dad has never been so happy. He's an old man, and he's never drunk so much. You don't know how to persuade you. Although it was a complaint, the familiarity in his tone was different from usual. Zhou Jingming, his current physique is not drunk with 1,000 cups. But hearing Lu Xiaoyi's complaints, put his hand on his head. Ouch, a little dizzy. Lu Xiaoyi was anxious, and she didn't care if what he said was true or not, she went up and hugged him. Zhou Jingming also took the opportunity to crook it in the warm fragrance of nephrite. And quickly, pecked at Lu Xiaoyi's red little mouth. Yikes! Lu Xiaoyi exclaimed. Lips and teeth open. Zhou Jingming was also not polite, attacking the city and plundering the land. 10 minutes later. Lu Xiaoyi's cheeks were red, panting, lying in the crook of Zhou Jingming's arm, and she said weakly. No, no more. Zhou Jingming 933 regretfully let go of her. Scratch her nose. Today is not fun, we still have to wait until the night of candles in our cave room. Where can Lu Xiaoyi still listen to it? What a shame. This person is usually quite serious, why is he so bad now? Hurriedly ran into the house, ran a few steps. He poked his head out with a red face and admonished. Jingming, be careful on the road. Zhou Jingming rode away from Lu's mansion. When you ride out a few streets and there is no one around. He put the box into the system space. These things, in terms of value, are nothing to him. But in terms of meaning, it is the most precious. The wheels of the 28 bars creaked and turned in the snowy night, traveling into the distance. After Lu's father talked with Zhou Jingming. Preparations have already begun. Sold everything he could sell for gold and silver. Those antique calligraphy and paintings were also shipped out from relatives and friends many times, and secretly handed over to Zhou Jingming at night. Then Zhou Jingming drove them to deal with them. As for where these antique calligraphy and paintings were put by Zhou Jingming, Lu's father didn't ask. In this way, several times, these antique calligraphy and painting porcelain furniture. Everything that can be given to Zhou Jingming was given to him. Lu's father and Lu's mother also moved from Lu's house to another house. He began to actively contact his friends in Malay and arrange the of manpower and warehouses. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Siheyuan, God Level Purchaser. Author, Idle Monkey Brother. Chapter 134. Su Daimao and the second uncle were really panicked. This police station, but you can't go there. The second master was stupid, and said in a daze. Director Zhang, you are good, I really can't go there, I'm going there, my picket captain's officer is gone. Director Zhang was directly angry and laughed. Do you still want to be an official? Okay, detain you for 15 days, and you can continue to be an official when you go back, too. The second uncle stumbled and almost couldn't stand. The skin of the mouth trembles. Detention. Restrain. Detention. This can't be done, Director Zhang, it's almost the new year, you detained me, how else can I behave? Director Zhang's eyes widened, and his tone was stern. Are you still afraid of being embarrassed? When you gathered a crowd to rob, why didn't you think that this would be embarrassing? You are still robbing a martyr's family, a good person who is dedicated to the benefit of the people. Detaining you for 15 days is quite light. The second uncle couldn't stand it anymore, and his tears were blurred. It looks pathetic. But what kind of person is Director Zhang, this kind of seeing a lot? Don't feel wronged, Ren Xiaozhou has warned you many times, but you just don't listen. Who's to blame? The second uncle betrayed Su Daimao without hesitation. Director Zhang, this is not my idea. It's the Su Daimao, who has a bad stomach and wants to report the capitalists to reap the benefits. It's him who encouraged me to bring people to block it. Su Daimao's eyes rolled, and he felt that the second uncle was really a pig teammate, and he planned to stir up the paste. Director Zhang, this is all a misunderstanding, we are playing with Brother Zhou, we are in the same courtyard. Isn't it, Zhou? He looked at Zhou Jingming expectantly, as long as he said that this matter was a misunderstanding. That was a misunderstanding. The second uncle stopped crying when he heard this, and looked at Zhou Jingming expectantly. Zhou Jingming also laughed angrily. This Su Daimao and the second uncle are all in their heads. They are scheming to put people to death. Now he is delusional that he will be merciful and gently expose this matter. It's ridiculous. Director Zhang, this matter is very serious. I hope you will treat it carefully, and you can't call good people cold. When Su Daimao and the second uncle heard this, the whole person was defeated. Director Zhang agreed again and again. It should. Okay, you guys, what are you still doing in a daze? Let's go. Don't wait for me to be handcuffed. Su Daimao and the second uncle were unwilling, and looked at Zhou Jingming with hatred. What about Zhou Jingming? I don't care at all. Anyway, this feud has already been formed, and he doesn't have the great love like he used, trying in vain to influence them. I don't go to the police station, I don't go. Qin Jingru sprinkled on the ground. Went crazy for a while, and the two police officers couldn't control her. Taking advantage of her slackness, she scrambled to her feet and ran as fast as she could. Director Zhang saw that she was a woman, and she was not the mastermind of this matter, so he didn't let people chase her. Wait until Director Zhang leads people away for about half an hour. Lu Xiaoyi turned out of the corner. Jingming, the car is driving over for you, over here. Lu Xiaoyi took Zhou Jingming to another street. There's a van there, park it well. Lu Xiaoyi patted her chest. You scared the hell out of me. I really let you talk about it? Why are these two so bad? Even if Lu Xiaoyi is simple, she also knows that once Su Daimao and the second uncle really intercept their belongings, that's a big crime. Looked at Lu Xiaoyi, whose hands and feet were still trembling, but pretending to be calm. Read violent novels, just go to Feel a Novel Network. Zhou Jingming hugged her tightly in his arms. Makes you worried? You stupid, what are you doing for such a dangerous thing? Lu Xiaoyi was hugged by Zhou Jingming. Bizarre. All the worries. Fear. It's all gone. It's gone. Only the temperature in his arms will not be extinguished for a long time. My dad said, I'm your daughter-in-law, so I can't be a dumbfounder, I have to be your virtuous helper. I think it makes sense. This is something that only I can do. Zhou Jingming didn't say anything, only hugged Lu Xiaoyi tightly. Reflections. Good father-in-law. What a daughter-in-law. The current Lu Xiaoyi is already the same person as the one on TV. The one on TV is a stupid white sweet, who has been cheated for a lifetime. But the one in my arms has now begun to grow rapidly. Actually, I want you to be stupid. Zhou Jingming originally thought that he had been taking care of Lu Xiaoyi's innocence. But it was found that the way she looks now, even more charming. Lu Xiaoyi obviously misunderstood what he meant. I knew you always thought I was stupid. I'm stupid. Anyway, no matter what, you're going to marry my stupid daughter-in-law. Lu Xiaoyi said domineeringly. Zhou Jingming laughed silently. The two of them were tired for a while. Lu Xiaoyi began to push Zhou Jingming. Jingming, you can drive, I'll wait for you here. Let's not sleep tonight, and finish transporting everything, so as not to have too many dreams at night. Is different from Lu Xiaoyi on TV, who does not participate in the handling of Lu's property at all. In reality, she has completely mastered the transportation of the Lu family's property. And also personally presided over the matter. Zhou Jingming got into the car, pulled the window. Xiaoyi, aren't you curious where I ship these things? This is your Lu family's wealth. Lu Xiaoyi says. What Lu's family treasures, didn't my dad give them to you? Since it was given to you, it is your Zhou family's wealth. Besides, even I'm yours. Not to mention the of family wealth. I'm not curious where you ship them, my dad said, when you're a daughter-in-law, don't ask so much. One day, when you want to tell me, you will tell me. If you don't want to say it, there is a reason why you don't want to say it. I'll never ask. Zhou Jingming's heart warmed when he heard it. Is born with such a good wife, what can I not do? In this way, Lao Luo and Lu Xiaoyi were divided into two ways. All the way is dedicated to transporting manhole covers. All the way to transport family wealth. When the sun dawned, the rooster crowed, and all the wealth of the Lu family, except for gold and silver, was transferred to the system space. Siheyuan, God-level purchaser. Author, Idle Monkey Brother. Chapter 183. Sure enough, Zhou Jingming found the synthesis of artemisinin in the drug synthesis item. It's just that Artemisia annua is not produced in Siju City, and if you want to purchase this herb, you have to go to Zhongzhou. Okay, I can help you with that. Zhou Jingming immediately made a decision. Hearing Zhou Jingming say this, Ran Kaiyu's eyes lit up again. Pursed lips and smiled. I knew I was looking for you. Brother Zhou, you are such a good person. Yes, this is the good person card. I'm not a good person, so I do what I can. It just so happened that he also had the need to purchase herbs. At this age, medical care is backward, there is a lack of medicines, and it is not easy to find capable and prestigious Chinese medicine practitioners. People who have a headache and brain fever, big pain, and small disasters, most of them rely on boiling. How many tragedies have been caused by the lack of timely medical treatment? He wasn't sure he wouldn't get sick in the future. Even if he doesn't get sick, he has to consider his own daughter-in-law, as well as relatives and friends, right? Brother Zhou, don't be modest, you are a good person. Ran Kaiyu insisted on issuing a good person card. Okay, it's not too early, I'll go back and see the medicine theory first. Ran Kaiyu said and stood up. Lu Xiaoyi came out of the room and gently pushed Zhou Jingming. Send it. Zhou Jingming saw that Lu Xiaoyi didn't look very good in the past 2 days, and her state was not good, she was always drowsy. I have lost my appetite for the past 2 days. I finally changed the tricks, and I couldn't eat a few bites of something light. Can put him in a hurry. I'm not going anywhere 103, I'm staying at home with you. Lu Xiaoyi glanced at him slightly, and just wanted to say something, her face changed suddenly, and she ran outside the house and vomited. Zhou Jingming hurried over and patted his daughter-in-law on the back. Stretch out your hand to hug her. Let's go to the hospital. Lu Xiaoyi was so ashamed that she couldn't do it, and pressed Zhou Jingming's big hand. It's so pampered, and it's not very good for your body, just rest, you vomit. Lu Xiaoyi vomited again. Zhou Jingming said that he would not do anything, and he would carry his daughter-in-law to the hospital. Ran Kaiyu watched from the side, feeling that something was wrong. Stepped forward to support Lu Xiaoyi and pinched her wrist. I don't think Sister Xiaoyi is sick. Huh, slippery veins. Ran Kaiyu said in surprise. Brother Zhou, Sister Xiaoyi, congratulations, this is the happy pulse, you have a future. Although, deep in Ran Kaiyu's heart, there is still a touch of gloom. But she sincerely congratulated Zhou Jingming and Lu Xiaoyi. Because it's a great joy to be happy about. Lu Xiaoyi listened to Ran Kaiyu's words, her whole person couldn't help but tremble, and huge joy surged from the depths of her heart, and quickly overflowed her entire chest. So that it quickly spreads throughout the body. It seems unbelievable, but sure. I can't help touching my stomach, the whole person is full of maternal brilliance. She has a child, or a child with the person she loves the most, what could make her happier than this? Zhou, CJDD, Jingming was also shocked. A big man, because of this sentence, the ups and downs of his heart are difficult to calm. After a while, he asked uncertainly. I have a baby. Do I really have a baby? People who are usually steady, ask several times, for fear of making a mistake. Zhou Jingming almost cried with joy. The surprise came so suddenly. He actually has a child, and it's still in this era, and Lu Xiaoyi. Although he also expected. But when this happened, he found that he was far happier than he expected. Seeing them like this, Ran Kaiyu was envious, and only felt that the two of them were in deep love, and they lived like a big light bulb. Yes, absolutely. Zhou Jingming couldn't hold back any longer, and picked up Lu Xiaoyi and turned in circles. I have a baby, Xiaoyi, I have a child. Lu Xiaoyi smiled softly and softly. Stupid or not, I just got pregnant. Besides, if you want to give birth, I will give birth. You are a big man, how can you have a child? Let me go, don't strangle the child. Zhou Jingming hurriedly put Lu Xiaoyi down, and he didn't know where to put that hand. It seems that Lu Xiaoyi is now a fragile porcelain, and it is not good to put it anywhere. Daughter-in-law, you vomited so much. I'll go cook you some abalone soup to drink, make up for it. During this time, don't do all the work of washing clothes and wiping the table, let me come. Zhou Jingming hugged Lu Xiaoyi, as if he was hugging the whole world. Forgot about Ran Kaiyu in an instant. Ran Kaiyu was also very knowledgeable, and did not disturb the two people who were immersed in happiness at all. Quietly left the fourth courtyard. Her heart was full of emotion. Brother Zhou and sister Xiaoyi are really enviable. Their future children don't know who they look like. Read violent novels, go on Fila Novel Network. But whoever it looks like, it's all pretty. She made no secret of her envy. That's where she's open. Because she is only envious, and her envy can be placed very properly. Except for envy, there is no other pang mind. Just as she passed by the second courtyard, Bang stopped her. Girl, come here, girl, I have something to say to you. Ran Kaiyu recognized the second uncle. She was originally a person who respected the old and loved the young, although the two were not familiar with each other. She walked over anyway. You have something to do with me. Ran Kaiyu fell generously, with a temperament, and when he went to that station, the second master thought. Compared to Lu Xiaoyi, Ran Kaiyu is not much worse. More satisfied. He asked. Girl, what's your name and what kind of job? Ran Kaiyu felt that the eyes and tone of the second uncle were a little wrong. But she didn't think much about it, and her upbringing made her unable to do the act of throwing her hands and leaving. My name is Ran Kaiyu, and I am currently working in the Chinese medicine pavilion and am a doctor. After hearing this, the second uncle was a little dissatisfied. Doctor? Isn't that the dirty work of serving people? No, this is not good, girl, you won't do this in the future. Listen to your second uncle, this woman, it's better to find a serious job, it's better to go to the factory to be a female worker. Why don't you go to the Red Star Rolling Mill? My son happens to be there in Guangtian, and you will be assigned to the same workshop, and you will have to take care of each other when the time comes. Ran Kaiyu heard the second uncle say that doctors do dirty work. I knew that there was no way to continue the conversation. Especially when I heard that the second uncle actually asked her not to be a doctor and go to work as a female worker in a rolling mill, I was speechless. It's the first time she and the two uncles have chatted. He's in charge of her life's events? And cared for his son. Who is his son? Does she know her? Ran Kaiyu is already planning to ignore the second uncle. But the second uncle is still chattering. Look, I'm in broad daylight, although I'm a few years younger than you, I won't dislike you for being old. My son, although the salary is not high at the moment, he is a team leader. You follow him, the future will not be bad. What about your second uncle and me? People look at it and tremble, but it's a 7th level worker, and it's enviable to say it. It's better than you find a man, your father-in-law is not better, right? The second uncle felt that he was very sincere. As soon as I came up, the conditions were clear. People have absolutely no reason to refuse, right? Ran Kaiyu clearly refused. Ran Kaiyu just has a good temper, but it doesn't mean that people don't have a temper. She looked at the second uncle and said straightforwardly, "I'm sorry, I appreciate your kindness. But I'm not going to quit my job as a doctor, and I won't have anything to do with your son." With that, she went straight to leave. The second uncle, as if he had been lifted against the scales, was furious. "Okay, you Ran Kaiyu, in this courtyard, no one dares to talk to me like that. You often go to those 4 courtyards, and the one surnamed Joe is not clear. I haven't disliked you yet. You dislike me. I'm telling you, today you either agree to go to the factory and deal with my son. Either I'll accuse you of having an improper relationship with that man surnamed Joe. Also, as long as I'm here, you don't want to set foot in the 4th courtyard again." In the courtyard, the second master is famous for being domineering and accustomed to it. In the factory, I used to be a picket captain, and the whole factory showed off its might, and that style has not disappeared. In the face of Zhou Jingming, he may admit it, but a female baby, he still doesn't believe that he can't hold it. Ran Kaiyu also heard it. These 2 masters are simply scoundrels. The unreasonable kind. What's even more terrifying is that he is not only unreasonable, but also imposes his reasoning on you. But she is a woman, and the second master is tall and big, and your appearance of eating people is also terrifying. But at this moment, Zhou Jingming was like a hero who fell from the sky. Kicked the second uncle down. Siheyuan, God-level purchaser. Author, Idle Monkey Brother. Chapter 192. Among this group of people, the one who likes to see this excitement the most is Jia Zhang's family. Mrs. Jia is a good person, and she likes to probe into other people's scandals. After listening to Zhou Jingming's words, he simply forgot all the past grievances. An old face, trembling with excitement. The whole person pulled on the window and looked inside. "Let me see, which old thing is picking up dust without knowing it? Which family's daughter-in-law is without face?" She couldn't get enough of it, so she opened the window. Sure enough, I saw a white flower figure hiding behind everyone's back, covering his body with a quilt. There was also a figure with his back to the window, quickly dressing. Mrs. Jia thinks that the man's back seems to be quite familiar. Where have I seen it? The woman who is hiding also has an inexplicable familiar taste. It's just that at this moment, it is the heart of gossip that has the upper hand, and the fire of gossip is burning. Reach out and push the door. But it didn't push. The door was bolted. And she cried out, "Okay, you 2 shameless, you came here to steal people, come out for me." After shouting, slam the door. At this time, almost all the people in the courtyard were concentrated in the 3rd courtyard. Some of them didn't really want to come. I heard that a pair of dog men and women who were stealing food were blocked in the side room of the deaf old lady. Then they rushed over quickly. "Stick your head out and look inside." "Inside, here. I'm getting dressed, hiding." "What to hide, what to wear, it's a shame. Let's see, whose family is not there?" In the past 2 days, everyone has been arranged to work hard and simple, pulling weeds and brushing paint. I've been accumulating a belly of evil fire for a long time. Originally, they had to go to work during the day, and they were not tired after a day's work. I just want to rest when I go home. I have to be instructed to work early in the evening. Who is willing to put this on you? Now that this thing happened, it was like smelling a bloody fly, buzzing up. It's not a big deal to watch the excitement. I have to pick up the pair of dogs and men inside to show the big guys. Hiyuzhu and Qin Jinggru also came out. Hiyuzhu is a muddy person. Usually, I also like to watch a lively scene, watch something, and entertain myself. Who's in the house? Yo, still bolted. Qin Jingru is also a good thing, she has poor personal morality in the courtyard, no one wants to take care of her, she has long been suffocated, and now there is someone who is even more unpleasant than her. Can she not be excited? I'll take a look, I'll take a look. Ouch, it's a little dark, I can't see my face clearly, who will bring a flashlight? Qin Jingru was very excited, and felt that it was really enjoyable. When she drilled into Zhou Jingming's house, she was indiscriminately illuminated with a flashlight, and she lost face. I can't get it back yet. She took the flashlight, turned it on, and shook it in, specifically to take care of the girl. The women in there kept dodging and covering themselves with sundries. Qin Jingru followed, according to it, and her heart also chuckled. I really think the people in there are too familiar. That pace, that posture, how? So like cousin Qin Huiru. But if the woman inside is Qin Huiru, who is the man? Qin Huiru's eyes kept scanning the crowd of people who came over. She has lived in this courtyard for some time, and she is almost familiar with the people in the courtyard. More and less, you can see it at a glance without saying it, but if you look at it a few more times, you can still see it. If you want to say who is most likely to with your cousin in this courtyard, it is a stupid pillar. But isn't the stupid pillar by his side? Who's that one inside? The people in the courtyard have almost arrived. The second uncle broke his leg and went to the hospital, and his two sons didn't come to take care of him over there. There are a few who didn't come. One cousin is a man, and the other is a man with a broken arm in a courtyard. There is another one, who is only a teenager and is studying, so it should be unlikely. Wait a minute. An uncle didn't come. Thinking of this possibility, Qin Jingru's whole body stiffened. But on second thought, it doesn't seem that this possibility does not exist. No, that uncle can be her father at his age. Besides, Uncle Yi is usually quite prestigious, so he shouldn't be able to do this kind of thing, right? Qin Jingru is not a good one. But even she didn't think it could happen. Then let alone others. She took a pair of eyes and glanced at Mrs. Chia a few times. What about Mrs. Chia? I'm trying to catch the traitor. Was swept away by Qin Jingru very unpleasantly. Look at it, a shameless one, before he can prove it, he got involved with someone. Before, Mrs. Chia said this about Qin Jingru. Then she must be furious, and she has to scold Mrs. Chia. But now, instead of getting angry, she hugged her arms. Watching Jia pose a jump up and down. Thought. When you find out that the woman inside is your daughter-in-law, see if you can still be so energetic. Just when everyone is clamoring. The deaf old lady came out of the house. Well dressed, with crutches in his hands. Glanced at everyone. What are you doing in front of my old lady's house, what are you doing, and you don't let people sleep, go back, go back. After speaking, he pointed to Siheyuan again. Grandson, this group of people is annoying to me, get rid of them. Siheyuan has always been a deaf old lady. Immediately go to catch people. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Don't stay here and disturb my grandma's peace. I didn't see the excitement as well. People can't just leave. Just shout. Deaf old lady, there is a pair of wild mandarin ducks in the room next to you, you have to let us see who they are, right? The deaf old lady put her hand on her ear. What are you talking about, mouse? I don't have a mouse in that house. If you read a violent novel, go to Filu Novel Network. Again, the people shouted. You heard it wrong, it's not a mouse, it's a wild mandarin duck, a pair of wild mandarin ducks. The deaf old lady spat hard. Fart. I don't have any ducks in my yard. Gotcha. Zhou Jingming also saw it. This deaf old lady is trying to protect Uncle Yi and Qin Huiru. This deaf old lady, Zhou Jingming didn't want to face it so early. She is old, childless. Zhou Jingming thought, if she doesn't hinder herself, then forget it. Everyone spent their lives in peace and quiet. But now, an uncle has come up with a poisonous plan to harm his own daughter-in-law. Qin Huiru even implemented a vicious plan to push his daughter-in-law hard. Then he is bound to take revenge, and he wants to overturn their bottom directly, so that they can no longer use the rhetoric of others, and use the attitude of the elders in the courtyard to instruct and oppress others. So how can you let the deaf old lady just fool the past? Miss out on this amazing opportunity? He stood up and said in a loud voice. Old lady, there is filth and dirt in your house. If we don't find this pair of wild mandarin ducks today, this will spread out, and the reputation of our courtyard will be completely ruined. Don't try to cover them up, paper can't hold the fire. The deaf old lady heard Zhou Jingming's words. Immediately pointed the gun at him. My old lady speaks, you don't have any hair, what are you talking about? I'll beat you and me. The deaf old lady said that she couldn't move roughly, and she raised her crutches and hit Zhou Jingming. Zhou Jingming easily grabbed the old lady's crutches. The old lady was busy and shouted. Ouch, bullying my old lady. Sun Tzu, hit him, hit him. What about Heyuzhu? He rushed over and raised his fist to hit Zhou Jingming. Zhou Jingming's eyes swept coldly over Heyuzhu. And not entangled with the deaf old lady. Flew up and kicked open the door of the deaf old lady's side room. Heyuzhu, go and see for yourself, who is cheating inside. Zhou Jingming kicked the door open. The woman inside exclaimed. When Heyuzhu heard that voice, he was stunned. That's not. He could hardly accept this fact. Some time ago, he was still with that person. He was still thinking about how to repair the relationship between the two, and then secretly bring her a boxed lunch home. But in the blink of an eye, she actually with others. Heyuzhu suddenly felt that his head was green. And I heard the exclamation of the woman inside. Jiapozi, who was probing her brain outside, was also stunned. Suddenly, the fat face turned the color of pig liver. The whole person rushed in. Grabbed the hair of the woman inside and beat it like crazy. Okay, you cheap embryo, broken shoes, you should sink into the pond, you actually steal people. Mrs. Gio was ruthless and beat people, but there was no mercy on his subordinates. The woman inside was beaten by her and her hair was scattered. The face was scratched one by one. The people outside also heard some movement. I was so surprised. No, it's Qin Huiru, the daughter-in-law of Mrs. Chia. She's too bold, she's actually stealing people behind her man's back. Her man is not dead, what a sin. I really didn't expect it, this Qin Huiru is actually such a person, hasn't she always played the role of a good daughter-in-law? This woman has a bad reputation in the factory, and recently it was rumored that she went to the back warehouse with Silly Zhu, and I don't know what she did. But the man in this room is not a stupid pillar at all. Tut, tisk, really. It's rotten to the bone. The woman is Qin Huiru, who is the man? Mrs. Jia is beating Qin Huiru. Hearing those words outside. At boiling point. This looks lively, and I actually see my own head. And, the kings, Qin Huiru, not only stole people, but more than one, and even that stupid pillar. She couldn't stand it anymore, and grabbed the man who was covering his face and was about to rush out. Who the hell are you? She reached out and pulled the towel from the man's face. The man stretched out his hand and struck her. Pushed Jiapozi to the ground and rolled several times. The man is fierce, but the voice is very familiar. Get out of here. When Jia Zhang heard this voice, it was as if he was frozen. What I can't believe more than Qin Huiru stealing people is the man in front of me who stole it. This man she wants to marry instead of an aunt. At that moment, Mrs. Jia was even more angry, disappointed, and sad than when she encountered her own man cheating on someone. She rushed up and hugged the man's legs. You, eh? Before she could say anything, the man kicked Giappozza in the chest again. Immediately kicked Giappozza to the ground and spat out a mouthful of blood. But he didn't look at it, and rushed out as fast as he could. Try to rush outside in the midst of chaos. But when he was about to go out, he tripped under his feet and fell to the ground. The towel on his face also fell off. When everyone saw his appearance clearly, they all looked like points, and they were all stunned and dumbfounded. They never expected that the person who had an affair with Chin Huayru turned out to be the most respected uncle in the yard. This is simply too challenging to people's three views. It's unbelievable. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Siheyuan, God-level purchaser. Author, Idle Monkey Brother. Chapter 193. This is definitely the most exciting day for the people in the courtyard. One by one, the unexpected was staged in front of them. The most respected uncle in the courtyard actually got involved with a married woman. These are obviously the most unlikely two people. Female, young enough to be the daughter of an uncle. There are 3 children. If you want to say that she is a widow, then it is better to think about it, but there are men. The man, usually sanctimonious, full of benevolence and morality, keeps talking, loyal to his daughter-in-law. Even if the other party has no queen, he will never give up, and it was once rumored to be a good story. It is also the place where people mention it and admire it the most. But now, just these 2 people, sleeping together, are still in the deaf old lady's toilet room. Everyone's brains couldn't help buzzing. In fact, it is even more unacceptable than everyone in the courtyard. It's Siheyuan. These 2 people, one is a woman who has been secretly in love for many years, although he may not be able to recognize this feeling, but in his heart, Chin Huayru's status is very unusual. She is a woman with a halo. She is a well-organized, hard-working, and good housekeeper, and a woman with good qualities. She is also a good wife who helps her husband, never abandons her husband with a broken leg, and does not dislike the poor and loves the rich. Is a good daughter-in-law who serves her mother-in-law and works hard. It is also a good mother who pulls 3 children and raises 3 children very well. Even if she and him have the reality of husband and wife, in her heart, instead of lowering a little, she has raised a lot. In his selfish heart, she had to do it as a last resort, for her family, for the sake of the child. On the contrary, it is even more distressed. But today, 457 was smashed to pieces by these filters on her. Not only did she talk to herself, but also, Uncle 1. How is it a master? He admired an uncle, that is from the bottom of his heart. In the whole courtyard, he listens to the master the most. Why? Because an uncle has a good character, an aunt has nothing to do, but she never gives up. I don't have to say that I have presided over the courtyard over the years, and I have settled a lot of things. In the factory, he is also an 8th-level worker respected by everyone. And in his selfish heart, he has always put the first uncle into the role of a father. As soon as the uncle supports the deaf old lady, he will fry a few dishes for the deaf old lady to eat from time to time. Willing to be the grandson of a deaf old lady. But now, all of this is collapsing. Ex-wife and good mother are fake. A highly respected uncle. Also fake. Rao is Siheyuan, no matter how muddy. At this time, it's like a resounding slap in the face. He couldn't help but tremble, pointed at Chin Huayru, and then at Uncle Yi. The face is gloomy as if the wind and rain are coming, turn around and leave. Chin Jingru spat at Chin Huayru. Boom. You're a shame. Silly brother, wait for me. Chased after Siheyuan. At this time, an aunt also came out, glanced at Chin Huayru, and then at an uncle. Angry voice. You shameless old thing, you actually did, CJDC, do such a thing. Divorce. Yi Zonghai, let's divorce. When an aunt said this, she was relieved. It felt like loosening the shackles. In fact, she didn't want to live with Yi Zonghai for a long time. In this pool of stagnant water, the days when people are worried about it every day. She felt like she was in a quagmire. There is no hope in sight. Yi Zonghai and Qin Huiru's matter, she was not unaware of it at all. But Yi Zonghai's surface work is really good. I really can't find a reason for divorce. And she looked at Yi Zonghai in front of her every day. Behind his back, he and Qin Huiru eyebrows. And she couldn't talk to others. That kind of grievance, accumulated over time, is about to collapse her. Now, the faces of these two shameless people have been completely exposed. She can also confidently ask for divorce. And even if Yi Zonghai doesn't agree, if this matter is said, Yi Zonghai will not be reasonable. If you don't leave, you have to leave. After the aunt finished speaking, Jia Dongxiu also came in on wheels. To this bitter lord of the green prairie on his head. The crowd automatically moved out of the way. In his eyes, there was sympathy. Jia Dongxiu glanced at the uncle on the ground, and then glanced at Qin Huiru, who was covered with blood on his face. Bloodshot eyes. Many days of doubt, that is doubt. It's another thing to see it with your own eyes. Qin Huiru, you go back and pack your things by yourself. After you pack up, get out. Qin Huiru couldn't hold back, her eyes rolled wildly, she rushed over, hugged Jia Dongxiu's legs, and cried, if you read a violent novel, you will go to Fila Novel Network. Dongxiu, Dongxiu. I was wrong, I was really wrong. Don't drive me away. I really know that I was wrong, you forgive me this time, please, just this once. I'll live with you in peace in the future, and I won't make trouble again, okay? For the sake of the children. When she was only 6 years old, Huihua still had to nurse. They can't live without me. Please, Dongxiu, please. Qin Huiru kept begging for mercy. Jia Dongxiu was like a wounded beast, staring at Qin Huiru deadly. I bit out all my teeth and bled out. He slammed Qin Huiru away. I gave you a chance. Qin Huiru, I gave it. But what about you? If you have me in your heart, you have this family, and even if you are a little shameless, you won't get together with this old brute. He used to be my master. You too, how can you do such a thing? Qin Huiru picked it up again, hugged Jia Dongxiu's leg, tears in her eyes, and just apologized vigorously. And at this time, Mrs. Jia, who came slowly, beat and kicked Qin Huiru with a vicious face. Broken shoes, I'll kill you. Qin Huiru just cried vigorously. Mom, I was wrong, I was wrong. No matter how you hit me and kick me, I admit it. A sentence of mom directly stimulated Mrs. Jia to almost cerebral hemorrhage. I can't afford it. You actually got involved with him, how can you get involved with him? He can be your dad. Jia Poza beat her chest and kicked Qin Huiru. Jia Dongxiu grabbed Mrs. Jia. All right, Mom, don't say anything, go back. Don't be embarrassed here. Knowing his mother Moruoza, can Jia Dongxiu still not know what Jia Poza is thinking? Although she felt that her daughter-in-law was embarrassed to go out and steal people. But more importantly, it was because the person Qin Huiru stole was the person she wanted to marry. Jia Dongxiu thinks about it, his heart is about to drip blood. In the past, he really regarded that old beast as his father, and he also thought about matching him with his own mother. He mentioned it several times, but he was righteously rejected. At that time, he thought that the old beast couldn't let go of an ant, and admired him for being in charge of infatuation. But what happened, he became a complete joke. Of course, people don't look down on his old-faced and skinny mother. People are interested in his daughter-in-law. The two don't know how long they have been hooking up. It's ridiculous that he and his mother still have that kind of mind. I'm afraid I've been laughed at countless times. He can't wait to kill Yi Zonghai at the moment. But murder pays for life. He can't get this hand. And once he divorces Qin Huiru, he will have to raise 3 children. If he kills someone, what will happen to the 3 children? Feeding. Pull it down. Jia Dongxiu slid in a wheelchair and passed by Yi Zonghai, and the wheels were on Yi Zonghai's hands. Pressed out a lot of traces. Yi Zonghai gasped in pain. But there were no seizures. All night, no matter how others scolded him. How did the girl beat and scold? How Qin Huiru cried and begged for mercy. He's like a stone. Silent as a word. His face was buried in the darkness, unpredictable, but no one knew what he was thinking. On the contrary, he has such an attitude. People have scolded enough, seen enough of the excitement, and despised it. Slowly it will disperse. With such a scandal, Yi Zonghai's status in the courtyard fell sharply to the lowest point. Naturally dismissed him as an uncle. And he shrank completely. Aunt Yi, she also successfully divorced him, and he didn't have the face to live in the courtyard of an aunt. Instead, he moved to the side room of the deaf old lady in the 3rd hospital. Qin Huiru was swept out of the house by Jia Dongxiu. But she was not reconciled, and knelt in front of Jia's house every day, begging for forgiveness. Siheyuan, God-level purchaser. Author, Idle Monkey Brother. Chapter 194. There was such a scandal in the courtyard. The so-called activity can no longer continue. Of course, Yi Zonghai will not divorce an aunt easily, and he has been grinding for several days. It took him so long to calculate. Isn't it just to calculate all the family resources of an aunt? Now that I haven't calculated anything, I have lost so many years, how can I be willing? But no matter how unwilling he is, this matter has become famous far and wide. In the factory, in the compound, who doesn't know about Yi Zonghai and Qin Huiru? Yi Zonghai was interviewed several times by the leader director of the factory because of the bad impact of this incident. Every time he was interviewed, his work rank was lowered by 1 level. Wages are also gradually declining. After a few times, he became a 4th level fitter in the factory. As for the salary, it also fell to 54. It is far from comparable to before. The apprentices he brought with him were also ashamed, so they left him one after another and followed others. Where he walked, others also retreated. After that, he gossiped about him and Qin Huiru. In the yard. Not to mention. Used to be a well-respected one. Anyone who saw it, all respectfully shouted Uncle Yi. Now, if you don't spray him with 2 mouthfuls of saliva, that's pretty good. He was reluctant to divorce at first and lived in the 2nd courtyard. Mrs. Jia of the 2nd courtyard, seeing that his door was blocked in heaven and earth, scolded all kinds of scolding. The scolding is so ugly. And these, he actually endured it. Even Zhou Jingming had to sigh. Yi Zonghai is really a deep city. But no matter how deep he is in the city, he has broken the defense in one thing. That's his son, the stick terrier. Ever since the stick terrier knew about him and Qin Huiru went to school, and his classmates called Qin Huiru broken shoes, but he was not convinced, so he was beaten on the ground by his classmates. Beaten almost every day. Every day I come back with a wound on my face and dirty on my body. After he came back, there were no children in the courtyard who wanted to play with him. When the adults saw him, the look in their eyes would become very strange. The stick terrier is almost 9 years old, although I don't understand what the situation is. Also knows what bad relationship Qin Huiru has with the grandfather he usually calls. And he was beaten and ostracized, and it was also for this reason that's why he became very hateful. Hate Qin Huiru. I also hate Yi Zonghai. On this day, he came back dirty, his nose was blue and his face was swollen, and his eyes were purple. Around his neck, a pair of broken shoes hanged. The whole face, red with anger. When Qin Huiru saw him, he came over distressed and wanted to hug him. But he pushed him away, hammered his fists, and scolded angrily. You're not my mother. I don't have a mom like you. When Mrsgia heard the movement, she rushed out of the house, pushed Qin Huiru to the ground, held the stick in her arms, and said distressedly, Stick terrier, what's wrong with you? Talk to grandma, talk about it. Stick terrier tears snapped down. Howling and wailing. Grandma, I don't want to go to school anymore, I don't want to go to school anymore. It turned out that after experiencing these things, the stick terrier became tired of school and was reluctant to go to school. My classmates beat me and bullied me, and my teachers looked down on me. Grandma, I don't want to go to school anymore. Yi Zonghai came out of the house and said to the stick terrier. No. You have to go to school. If you don't go to school, you can't read, and it's over. Mrsgio was already distressed about the encounter of the stick terrier. I don't want him to go to school and suffer again. Listen to the culprit running to stop. The anger rose to the ground. She was kicked by Yi Zonghai, but her hopes and fantasies were all crushed. My chest hurts so much these days. And when she thought of Qin Huiru and Yi Zonghai hooking up and adultering under her nose. Don't mention how depressed it is. And now, her beloved grandson is also being scrambled by these two. Can she not be angry? She rushed up and pounced on Yi Zonghai, reaching out to scratch Yi Zonghai's face. Okay, you brute, you kill 1,000 knives, if it weren't for you, would my grandson be like this? You still want your child to go to school, and he was beaten to death, so you are willing. You're a bad. Yi Zonghai impatiently pushed Mrsgia aside and said angrily. What do you know, if you don't let him go to school, that's a lifetime of harm. Mrsgia didn't give up, came back again and scratched Yi Zonghai, and scratched several bloody cuts on his face. It's your life that hurt him. The two were arguing, but they didn't notice it, and the stick terrier's eyes released a light of resentment and hatred. He picked up a brick on the ground. Ran to Yi Zonghai, read the violent novel, go to the Fila Novel Network. Jump up and slap it hard. Although he is not big, over the years, the food brought back by Hiyuju has been very solid. This brick is shot down. Although I didn't shoot the key point of Yi Zonghai. But he also slapped his face squarely. That face, in the nose, there was blood. The stick terrier had to shoot again, and was held down by Yi Zonghai. Yi Zonghai, who was deep in the city, flashed with injury, anger, and disbelief in his eyes. Terrier, you hit me. The stick terrier looked at Yi Zonghai, whose face was covered with blood. I was afraid. But remembering all the grievances he had suffered. The fire of anger burns and roars with rage. Old brute, I'm not just going to beat you, I'm going to kill you. Yi Zonghai let go of the hand of the stick terrier, and couldn't help but staggered back 2 steps. The blood in his brain surged, and he returned to the house in a dejected manner. The stick terrier, and Mrsgia, scolded Yi Zonghai's house in various ways. Qin Huiru sat on the ground, covering her mouth and crying. The son beat his father and treated him as an enemy. This situation was something she never expected. She was in agony. She walked over and pulled her son. Stick terrier, it's all fault. Forgive mom. The stick terrier violently pushed her hand away, and raised the brick to slap her. Qin Huiru was so frightened that he took a few steps back. What about the stick terrier? I didn't fight any more this time. But he spat on it. Broken shoes. Mrs. Jia also spat on Qin Huiru angrily, and entered the house with a stick stalk. Qin Huiru sat on the ground again and cried. After Yi Zonghai was beaten by a stick terrier, Director Wang of the neighborhood committee came over again. Only then did he agree to divorce his aunt, and the two went through the divorce procedures. He also moved out of the second courtyard and lived in a side room in the third courtyard. An aunt gets free. Has a closer relationship with Zhou Jingming's family. In the evening of this day, Zhou Jingming came back from the factory. Was dragged into the house by an aunt. An aunt is radiant, as if she has something big to say. Ming. A unspecified currency aunt says. I'm going to move out tomorrow and live with your Uncle Meng. Zhou Jingming was a little surprised, but he thought that this was also a reasonable thing. He nodded. Yes, Aunt Yi, Uncle Meng is very reliable. Although I can't promise anything, others are really good, and they are not bad to you. An aunt opened the cabinet and took out a few sets of clothes, all of which were cashmere clothes worth more than 100 yuan. These were bought for me by your Uncle Meng. I'm getting old, I didn't expect there to be such a day. Meng Changzi is really generous to an aunt, buy clothes, buy biscuits, buy gold necklaces. I have never skimped on money. I thought, I'm my age, and I'm not the same as you young people. I don't have any years to live, so I want to go and tear off the marriage certificate with your Uncle Meng tomorrow. If you want to laugh at me, laugh. Zhou Jingming smiled, but it was not a joke, but a sincere blessing. 1. And you, it should have been like this a long time ago, Xiao Yi and I are waiting for this day. After you move out, live a good life with Uncle Meng. In 2 days, I will go to see you with my daughter-in-law. Aunt Yi smiled, and suddenly clapped her hands. Look at me, I almost forgot something important. I'm moving out here, and the furniture is. Ming, it's up to you and Xiao Yi. Zhou Jingming was stunned. Quite suddenly, these furniture are all rosewood furniture. In front of Zhou Jingming, an aunt opened the dark compartment of the cabinet again. From the inside, he took out a lot of gold and silver jewelry, as well as the title deeds of the house. I'll keep these things for you. An aunt said something that made Zhou Jingming extremely unexpected. Siheyuan, God-level purchaser. Author, Idle Monkey Brother. Chapter 195. And this can't work, these things are too valuable, I can't ask for them. Zhou Jingming never expected that an aunt would actually hand over all her property to him. These jewels, at first glance, are worth a lot of money. It's a fine product left by her ancestors. And those house deeds, there are several courtyards alone, and there are old mansions. These things are worth a lot of money now, not to mention in the future, at least billions. An aunt touched the jewels and the house deeds. Said to Zhou Jingming. Ming, I'm like you're my son. I've figured it out all these years. What's the use of carrying these things to an old woman like me? Yi Zonghai has been thinking about them for a lifetime, and I've been protecting them for a lifetime. In this life, I am scared, that day, it was really difficult. In the future, I don't want to carry them anymore, I want to be more relaxed and comfortable. These Eastern 7090 Western, I don't have to worry about anyone, so I'll give it to you. Aunt Yi said, her eyes softened. And my unborn grandson. Aunt Yi really treats Zhou Jingming as her son, Lu Xiao Yi as her daughter-in-law, and their children as her own grandson. If you don't want it, then it's me who left it for my grandson. An aunt said this. Zhou Jingming also understood, and he understood. He's got to keep it. But. And these things should be temporarily stored here with me. When you want to take it back, when do you want to take it back? Ant blame. What else is it called? And he, call it auntie. I don't plan to take these things back if you give them to you. Your Uncle Meng sighed. People also said, raise me. The ant smiled shyly. I, I also want to try what it's like to be raised. Zhou Jingming looked at the ant who was immersed in happiness. I'm really happy for her. Thinking in my heart, when I go back to Lu Xiao's medical hall and ask, if there is a recipe for giving birth. With his ability to synthesize drugs, he may be able to synthesize special drugs for giving birth to children. Let Aunt and Uncle Meng have a queen. Naturally, he doesn't covet these belongings of his aunt or anything like that. Because when an aunt gave these things to him, the system actually recognized that this was a successful purchase. Crit 890 best rosewood furniture full set. And 760 sets of various superb jewelry. As for the real estate, there is no crit. But it has been transformed into a set of pavilions and pavilions in the space. The breadth of the system space has also changed a lot at once. Become richer. As long as the consciousness sinks into it, in less than 5 minutes, even if you are tired, you will be full of energy. It's like a spiritual charging station, endless, inexhaustible. In addition, Zhou Jingming has also obtained a full set of ancient building technology, and can move the top ancient buildings into reality at any time. Zhou Jingming was puzzled. The system, these things, are gifts from the ant, how can they also trigger critical hits and lucky critical hits? He didn't spend any money on these things. The system says, sincerity can be worth priceless wealth, and the host's sincerity to others can also be included in the scope of procurement. Zhou Jingming nodded. Not to mention that there are critical hits, even if there are no critical hits. After Aunt and Uncle Meng have it, he is not afraid that they will ask these things back. And not only is he not afraid, but he will also take the initiative to return it when the time comes, and take care of their descendants. This is his bottom line, and he also promises to his aunt in his heart. The aunt took a box and packed these things in the box. When a big box is full, just handed it to Zhou Jingming. After delivering these things, the aunt was obviously relieved. After glancing at the box several times, he looked away and stopped looking. Those few glances are her farewell to the past. From then on, she is no longer the eldest lady of the He family, nor is she an aunt, but a solitary individual. A single individual who can freely pursue happiness, read violent novels, go to Philu Novel Network. For her, these wealth are not a guarantee of happiness, but a shackle. Zhou Jingming came out of an aunt's house with a suitcase, and Qin Huiru, who was begging Jia Dongxiu and Jia Poza for forgiveness, looked over. When I saw this box, I paused. Thinking of something, his face turned pale, and he hurriedly ran to the third courtyard. Seeing her run away, Jia Poza took a heavy sip. And Jia Dongxiu, who had been pasting the carton, also had a meal, with green tendons on his hands, and then continued to paste the carton. When Zhou Jingming passed by the third hospital, glancing inward, he knew very well what Qin Huiru was going to do. Pat the box. So he went back to the fourth courtyard. Lu Xiaoyi has been waiting for him. Seeing him come back with a suitcase, he was very puzzled. Jingming, this is a euro. Zhou Jingming closed the door and opened the box. Seeing the jewelry inside and the title deed of the house, Lu Xiaoyi's small mouth opened into a zero shape. Auntie. That is, an aunt, she wants to tie the knot with Uncle Meng and give us all the family wealth. Zhou Jingming has nothing to hide about these things, and he has no intention of hiding them. As for Lu Xiaoyi, her eyes did not stop at these family wealth. What's this? Her Lu family's wealth is much more than this, and it's not the same as giving it to her own man. These things are too valuable. Looking back, if they want it, they will return it to them. Let's take care of it. Zhou Jingming hugged his daughter-in-law into his arms. Is worthy of his own daughter-in-law, thinking the same as him. Well, that's what I thought too. Keep these things for them. I'll go back and see if there is any special medicine for giving birth to children over there in Rankaiyu, and ask my aunt for a pair. Lu Xiaoyi's eyes lit up, and she said in surprise. Is there really such a medicine? That's great. She is a person who is about to be promoted to mother, and she feels more deeply how lonely a woman should be if she has no children. She only now feels that a woman has a baby, she is complete, and she has a deeper feeling for life. So if there is really any special medicine for giving birth to a baby that can cure infertility, then she is really happy for her aunt. However, at auntie's age, I'm afraid it's to have a baby. Lu Xiaoyi was a little worried. After all, in this year, giving birth to a baby at the age of 50, not to mention unheard of. But most of the children born are defective, difficult to feed, and prone to early death. Wouldn't that be more painful? Zhou Jingming understood Lu Xiaoyi's concerns. At this age, he was not as developed as medicine in later generations. People are not short of nutrition, and there are a large number of people who have children in their 40s and 50s. But these things are really not a problem for him. It's okay, don't worry, daughter-in-law, I'll send them meat and vegetables when I go back. Ensure that the second elder raises the 3.4 body well, and then give birth to a fat man and half girl. He scratched Lu Xiaoyi's nose. You have to work harder, don't let them beat you. Lu Xiaoyi squinted her eyes cutely, wrinkled her nose, and made a grimace at Zhou Jingming. The two frolicked for a while. Lu Xiaoyi talked about the dilemma faced by Rankaiyu Medical Center. Jingming, you solved the medicine problem for Sister Akiba, but it didn't cure the current disease. And it seems that there is a big man who was infected and was not cured in the hospital of Crooked Nuts and was sent to their hospital. If this can't be cured, I'm afraid their hospital will suffer a big disaster. But what should I do? Zhou Jingming frowned. Malaria has become an epidemic. It seems that he needs to take a trip. Take out the artemisinin. At this time, in the third courtyard, Qin Huiru knocked on Yi Zonghai's door and entered the house. As for the deaf old lady, she sighed, went out by herself, and gave the house to the two of them. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Siheyuan, God Level Purchaser. Author, Idle Monkey Brother. Chapter 204. Spring goes to autumn, cold, and summer for 4 years. Zhou Jingming has traveled to this world for 4 years. In the past 4 years, Zhou Jingming has been promoted from a 3rd-level purchaser to a 4th-level purchaser. And his system space has also been raised to level 4. Nowadays, his system space is more than 100 times larger than in the past. And all kinds of crops, agricultural products, in the warehouse, such as mountains and seas. The lakes have managed to grow from 1 to 4, and each lake is as vast as the sea. There are no less than 500 species of freshwater fish in the lakes, and the fish production varies greatly depending on the preferences of each lake. In addition to fish products, there are also a variety of aquatic products attached to the lake, such as water chestnut and lotus root. There are lakes with rippling blue waves. The sea is also indispensable. In the past 4 years, he has traveled to Malaysia 8 times, and each time is a full load. But he didn't just buy seafood from Malaysia. He intentionally, from the inland sea line, all the way to the top, including seafood from many seas. The seafood in the sea of his space has become extraordinarily rich. In the past 4 years, these seafood have continued to multiply, and it is much more than the real sea seafood. And then there are all kinds of factories, which have also reached 100. The techniques he mastered through lucky crit attacks also reached hundreds. It's really a lot of skills. In addition, there are various jade museums, calligraphy and painting museums, classical furniture museums, ceramics museums, textile museums, etc. And so on and so forth. Even if Zhou Jingming doesn't need to appreciate the treasure now, you can also become a master of all categories. In the Moyun Medicine Garden, the herbs planted also cover hundreds of thousands of acres of land. Many of these herbs are the best that cannot be grown in later generations. There are hundreds of thousands of years of medicine, and there are quite a few. He can synthesize as many as a few kinds of drugs. Of course, the upgrade of the system has also brought him a lot of benefits. The most obvious feeling is that he feels that with his current state, his body is strong and at his peak, and there is no problem in living for 100 or 200 years. On this day, he came back from purchasing. Seeing the situation, a small ball threw itself into his arms. "Daddy, Daddy is back." The little ball is pink, although it is less than 4 years old, its big eyes are bright and smart, and its eyes are like black gems. Full of clever looks. That's more like a New Year's doll. As long as she smiles at someone, no matter how vicious she is, she can soften her heart by laughing. Zhou Jingming hugged the doe and picked her up high. The little one exclaimed, but instead of being afraid, he giggled with joy. "Dad is so powerful, Dad is so strong." This dumpling is Zhou Jingming's daughter, Zhou Xiaoi. Zhou Jingming got what he wanted and gave birth to a daughter. He loved it like a treasure, and he couldn't love it enough. Huh, sycophant. A dragging sound suddenly came out. A little boy with a tiger head and a tiger brain, he looks very similar to Zhou Xiaoi, but he is very heroic. At this moment, holding his arms, he looks like a little adult. Obviously there is a desire in his eyes. Didn't beg for a hug like Zhou Xiaoi, but despised her behavior. This little boy is Zhou Jingming's son Zhou Mushan. It turned out that Lu Xiaoyi was pregnant with a pair of twins, and in the order of birth, Zhou Xiaoi was the elder sister and Zhou Mushan was the younger brother. But Zhou Mushan seems to be very dissatisfied with the fact that he is his younger brother. Since he can speak, he has protested many times to be his brother and let Zhou Xiaoi be his sister. Of course, all of his protests were ineffective. Zhou Jingming walked over and knocked lightly on the door of Zhou Mushan's brain. Then, he picked up the little guy who didn't have the right mouth. Zhou Mushan was obviously very happy, but he had a stinky face. "Humph. I'm not happy, I just have to." Yes, had to start with. Zhou Jingming was speechless. "You stinky boy, a 3-pound duck, a 2.5-pound beak, who are you with this dead duck's mouth?" Zhou Xiaoi, the fan dumpling, rolled his eyes and said. "Then there is no need to say, it must be with Aunt Ziyi." "Dad, Aunt Ziyi is a dear brother." Brother Dihong also likes to follow his ass and turn his head. Zhou Jingming listened to the little guy say this, one head and too big. "Aunt Ziyi is here." Dough Dumpling rode. "I came, but I didn't see you, and I left again." However, Dihong's younger brother is at home, and his mother is taking him to play the piano. Zhou Jingming was speechless. "Nonsense, he's not even 2 years old, what piano does he play?" With Dough, I went inside. At this time, in the courtyard of the gate, a figure quickly rushed out, about 12 or 13 years old. He sneakily looked around first, read the violent novel, and go to the Filu novel network. Seeing Zhou Jingming, slightly stunned. Then he ran into the house. "This kid is a terrier." Seeing him, Zhou Mushan, who was sitting on Zhou Jingming's arm, concluded, "He's stealing chicken." Zhou Jingming was funny, he naturally saw the chicken fat on the corners of the stick terrier's mouth and on his clothes, and there were chicken feathers hanging on his clothes. It's just that the stick terrier is very fast, and he can see it clearly, because he is already observant and has a pair of sharp eyes. But Zhou Mushan, this little kid, is only more than 2 years old. How could he be sure that the stick terrier had stolen the chicken? How did you know that he stole the chicken? Zhou Jingming intends to test his own son. Zhou Mushin analyzed decently. First, there is the smell of roast chicken in the air, but it is certainly not as good as Dad's chicken. Second, whether there was any clean chicken fat on the side of his mouth and on his clothes, it was so obvious that if I were to do it, I would certainly not be able to leave these obvious proofs. Thirdly, he was flustered, obviously not expecting to run into us here, which is a characteristic expression of doing bad things. The little guy's analysis was reasonable. Zhou Jingming listened to it, but played his brain again. Who did you learn from all this, and you also destroy the evidence? The little guy covered his head and said dissatisfiedly. Dad, if you knock again, you will be stupid. I learned these things from Aunt Ziyi, and I think they are very useful. Zhou Jingming couldn't help but want to go to the woman to settle accounts. What the hell is this teaching to children? The little guy analyzes it again in a decent way. I guess the chicken he stole came from our yard. Besides, our yard is going to be lively soon. This scene happened on TV. It's the first episode of Love, the stick terrier steals the chicken. It's just that at that time, he stole the chicken and took his two sisters to eat. Now, it's obvious that a chicken is to himself. Because of his arrival, the plot has changed greatly, but it seems that there is no change. The stick terrier still stole Su Damao's chicken. Then how can you be sure that he stole the chickens of this hospital? It can't be someone else's chicken. Zhou Jingming asked again. At this time, Zhou Ziyi rushed to answer. Aunt Ziyi said that if you want to analyze what a person does, you have to analyze his character. The stick terrier is usually very timid outside, and he definitely doesn't dare to steal chickens outside. In the courtyard, but it is very horizontal, usually he is covered by his stepfather Uncle Yuzhu, and walks sideways in the courtyard. So this chicken, 9 times out of 10, is in the courtyard. Zhou Mushin pursed his mouth, and after a while he reluctantly admitted. My sister is right. Zhou Ziyi's eyes were wide and round. Call my sister. Sister. I'm my sister. Sister. Yes, these two little guys, although they were taught by Li Ziyi, are like personal elves. Overall, it's still a Nabi child. Let's go home first, go home first. Zhou Jingming took the two small ones to the fourth courtyard. Hasn't arrived at the house yet. Then I heard the sound of the harp. Go in and take a look. Good guys, Lu Xiaoyi and his son Li Dihong are performing a four-handed play. Lu Xiaoyi wanted to teach Zhou Ziyi and Zhou Mushin to play the piano. But these two little guys are obviously not interested in music. It hurts her to complain a lot. Later, Li Ziyi often brought her son Li Dihong over, and the little guy showed a super talent for music. This made Lu Xiaoyi happy, and she almost didn't treat him better than her own son. When Li Dihong saw Zhou Jingming, he was so happy that he slipped off the stool, spread out his arms and threw himself at him. Daddy. With Siheyuan, God-level purchaser. Author, Idle Monkey Brother. Chapter 212. Su Damao's inducement made the stick terrier fluctuate. If he can bring down Zhou Jingming, then he must be willing. How? Su Damao said. It's simple. Doesn't the surname Zhou have 2 children? Usually the baby has to look like something. As long as you hide those 2 kids. He's in a hurry, what you want, what he gives. The stick terrier thought about it seriously, as if it was indeed the same as Su Damao said. The one surnamed Zhou was so good that he felt jealous of the 2 children. The stick terrier didn't have any good feelings for those 2 children. Like his 2 sisters. He was annoyed to look at it. The 2 younger sisters in the family don't like him either. In a word, can use this method to teach the person surnamed Zhou a lesson. Get some money to spend. That's really good. Okay. The stick terrier learns like an adult, patting his chest and guaranteeing. He even planned to wait until the two little ones were tied up, and not give them food and drink, and let them cry. If they disobey, they will be beaten. When thinking about these things, the stick terrier would not have thought that his actions were illegal. He doesn't have any legal awareness at all. But as Yi Zonghai's son, he is not so stupid. I don't plan to do it myself. He rolled his eyes and said, Uncle, I have a few buddies, all of whom are strong men of this generation. I'll ask them to help me when I get back. But it's not easy to ask them for help. You'll have to treat them to dinner and pay for their labors. Su Daimao snorted coldly in his heart, but on his face, he didn't show it at all, and immediately made a decision. It's all right. You called them. But it's a terrier, you can't even sleep and tell about it. The stick terrier hurriedly patted his chest. Don't worry, uncle, since I'm messing around on this street, I always have to talk about morality, and I won't confess you. Su Daimao was not at ease in the end, and gave a few more words of advice to the stick terrier, and finalized the time for action. When he sets the time, just go to Yi Zonghai. Told Yi Zonghai about the time of action. Yi Zonghai told the deaf old lady about it. Once started, the deaf old lady has to muddy the waters in it, so that the child may be taken out. A series of arrangements, that is airtight. In the evening, Lu Xiaoyi was cooking in the house, and she always felt restless, something was not quite right. She went into the house and looked at the three children several times. The three children are obedient, playing with blocks together. One with the other. It's very harmonious. Lu Xiaoyi couldn't find anything wrong at all. In the past, Zhou Jingming also traveled from time to time. Sometimes it takes up to half a month to go out. But it didn't make her so flustered. Forget it, I'll give Autumn Leaves a call later, and let Autumn Leaves stay with me for a few days. Otherwise, my heart always seems to be in decline. Lu Xiaoyi thought, stir-frying quickly. Her current cooking skills are not as good as Zhou Jingming's, and they are not as good as the cooks at home before. But after 4 years of hard work, I have also practiced. Coupled with the excellent materials, how to do it will not be unpalatable. Lu Xiaoyi can cook all the food alone. She wiped her hands and was about to go to the house to call the children to eat. But I heard the exclamations of the children. Who are you? Let us go. Mommy. She hurriedly ran out. I saw a few 14 or 15-year-old teenagers who didn't know break-in, hugged Zhou Mushan, Zhou Xiaoyi and Li Honged and ran out. Lu Xiaoyi was stupid, she never expected that someone would dare to rush into the house in broad daylight and rob people. But Lu Xiaoyi's reaction was not slow. In the past 4 years, she has learned a lot of skills from Zhou Jingming. Now when you fight, you won't lose to men. Immediately rushed up with an arrow. Kick on the back of the slowest teenager running at the back. That is obviously a half-old child, but he is more ruthless than an adult. Immediately threw Li Honged in his arms to the ground. If this is a real loss, it will definitely break people. Lu Xiaoyi didn't care about anything, she quickly rushed over and caught Li Honged. The teenager got up from the ground and ran out with his companions. Lu Xiaoyi didn't dare to let go of Li Honged, so she chased him with him. But if you hold a child, you will definitely run slowly. Lu Xiaoyi didn't care about being elegant, so she opened her throat and shouted. Someone's catching the kids. Help. Stop them. Catch the child, the neighbors help. She screamed so badly that the great summoner quickly came out of the courtyard. Go chase with her. And some of the residents of the courtyard. Hearing movement. And come out with it. It's just that at this time, the teenagers who didn't know each other had already run to the second courtyard with their children in their arms. In the second courtyard, Mrs. Gio was coming out to pour water. Saw a few street slickers running in front of her with Zhou Jingming's 2 children. And Lu Xiaoyi's lung-splitting shout in the back. That's not meant to help. And he opened the door. Let them run out smoothly. And others ran away. She smiled and said, "Ouch, ouch. Isn't this the 2 children of the little beast surnamed Zhou who were robbed? Good grab, croak grab." As he spoke, the stick terrier quickly rushed out of the house and ran outside. Geoposi hurriedly shouted, "Terrier, what are you doing?" The stick terrier ran away without looking back. Lu Xiaoyi was so anxious that she and everyone just wanted to chase after her. The deaf old lady came out of the third courtyard, and stopped everyone on crutches. Groping around, as if looking for something. "Where's the duck? Where's the duck I bought?" After speaking, she threw herself on Lu Xiaoyi, as if what she was looking for was on Lu Xiaoyi. Lu Xiaoyi bent over her. The speed slows down even more. "I plan to give the child to my daughter-in-law. Chase it with all your might." But at this moment, the deaf old lady sat on the ground and splashed. "Ouch, my legs, someone pushed me. This little hoof pushes me." She pointed at Lu Xiaoyi. Dazao's daughter-in-law said angrily, "Old lady, don't you make trouble, is this your time to make trouble? We're going to chase robbers, someone has come to my yard to rob people." But the deaf old lady pretended to be stupid at the right time. "What, the robbers have been beaten away a long time ago. My duck, who saw my duck? Do you see my ducks?" Was so stirred up by a deaf old lady. Waiting for Lu Xiaoyi to run outside to take a look. Those bastards grabbed Zhou Xiaoyi and Zhou Mushin and ran away. Lu Xiaoyi's whole person was like being hammered hard. Almost untenable. She glanced coldly at the deaf old lady. "Madam, it's better that this matter has nothing to do with you. Otherwise, I can do anything." The deaf old lady's heart trembled, but relying on her old age and high seniority, she was still pretending to be stupid and playing tricks, read violent novels, just go to Filu Novel Network. "What? What did you say? I can't hear what you're saying. What is she talking about?" Ran Kaiyu received a call from Lu Xiaoyi and rushed over. Seeing Lu Xiaoyi, he hurriedly went over to hold her arm. "Sister Xiaoyi. Are you all right?" Lu Xiaoyi hugged Li Honged and walked out. "I can still stand. Autumn leaves, send me to the police station, I want to report the crime." Ran Kaiyu didn't say anything, and immediately went to Zhongluo, and drove Lu Xiaoyi to the police station in person. In order to ask the police station to dispatch the police as soon as possible, so as to block the people. Ran Kaiyu looked at Lu Xiaoyi uneasily. Lu Xiaoyi's whole state is very wrong. She tried her best to keep her composure. But his heart was as if he had been slashed twice. Is constantly bleeding. The reason why she held on and didn't fall. It's because she has to be calm. Must be supported. When he arrived at the police station, Director Zhang heard the report and immediately dispatched the police to find someone. In an afternoon, they brought back a lot of suspects. Lu Xiaoyi found the few who snatched her children at a glance. Even if they turn to ashes, she knows them. She rushed over, her face was no longer gentle, and her whole person was like an angry lioness. "What about my child? What about my 2 children? Where did you get them?" Those teenagers are typical street slickers, who have been neglected to discipline since they were children, and they don't know that what they do is illegal. It wasn't until they were caught at the police station that they realized that something was wrong. In the face of Lu Xiaoyi's roar, Director Zhang's questioning, nor do they dare to hide it. 1510, the matter was recruited. After they snatched the child, they put the child in an abandoned old house according to what the stick terrier said, and the person left. "I don't even know where my child is." When Lu Xiaoyi heard this, She only felt that the whole sky was about to fall. What did you say? You snatched my children, threw them in the abandoned house and left them alone. When Lu Xiaoyi thought of her two lovely children, she was about to collapse in the abandoned old house. How scared the children are. Where's that abandoned house? Lu Xiaoyi is about to rush out and bring the child back. But Director Zhang stopped her. Your child is no longer in that house. Director Zhang looked at Lu Xiaoyi sympathetically. We surveyed the site. There are adult footprints. Someone took your child. Lu Xiaoyi listened, dizzy for a while, and her whole blood seemed to rush to the top of her head. If it weren't for Ran Kaiyu's quick hand to help her, she had to go down now. How could it be so coincidental? How could it be so coincidental? This must be a premeditated kidnapping, Director Zhang, this must be a premeditated kidnapping. That's right. I'm going to ask him why he asked someone to rob my child. Lu Xiaoyi couldn't imagine it at all. A child who is less than 15 years old can actually do such a hurtful thing. Terrier. No matter how good Lu Xiaoyi's literacy is, she can't take care of it now. After she saw the stick terrier, she could no longer suppress the anger in her heart. Waved his hand and slapped the stick terrier in the face. Say, where did Zhou Xiaoyi and Zhou Mushin go? At this time, no matter how muddy it is, he knows it. He absolutely cannot admit it. He said with a stalk. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm just going to play with my younger siblings for a while. I don't know where they've gone. Looking at the stick terrier like this, Lu Xiaoyi couldn't wait to kill him. Terrier, do you know that you are committing a crime by doing this? At this time, Yi Zonghai stood up with a heavy face and said. Lu Xiaoyi, you have to pay attention to evidence when you speak. What kind of crime? This matter has little to do with the stick terrier. He's an insider, not a participant. Yi Zonghai quibbled. He hated Su Daimao in his heart. This despicable villain actually pulled the stick terrier into the water. But the good thing is, the stick terrier didn't go directly to snatch the child. In cases where evidence is insufficient, it's totally possible to push this onto someone else. Hearing Yi Zonghai say this, Mrs. Jia was also busy helping. Yes, yes. That's it. What does this have to do with the terrier? Lu Xiaoyi, your child was robbed, it was made by your family, what do you care about us? Qin Huiru also came out at this time, and stopped the stick terrier behind him. Under her eyes, there is a worry about the stick terrier. But there is even more irrepressible excitement. Great, Lu Xiaoyi's two children were robbed. Now it's nowhere to be found. 8 achievements were kidnapped by human traffickers. It's better for those traffickers to run as far away as possible. It's better to never find it again. Didn't take good care of the 2 children, see if Zhou Jingming still wants you. Lu Xiaoyi looked at this vicious family. I don't want to waste my time on them. Turned around and begged Director Zhang. Director Zhang, you can find a way to save my children. Director Zhang is also embarrassed. We've sent all the officers. We have also contacted several nearby police stations to jointly dispatch police operations. But this group of people is clearly a repeat offender. Siju City is so big again. Director Zhang's meaning is actually obvious. In this era, it's not like there is any such thing as an eye in the future generations. Once the abducted child is thrown into the vast sea of people, then you can't find it again. Lu Xiaoyi could no longer withstand the blow, she was dizzy for a while, and fell softly. But there was a strong embrace, but it took her into his arms. She looked up in surprise and saw her intimate lover, her heart relaxed, and tears began to drip down. Jingming, Jingming, I'm sorry for you. I didn't take good care of our children. Zhou Jingming hugged Lu Xiaoyi hard. Appeasement says. Don't worry, I've got you. His gaze swept over Yi Zonghai, the stick terrier, Jiapozi, and Qin Huiru. He said in an emotionless voice. One of the people involved in the kidnapping of my child counts as one, and none of them can escape. After that, he handed Lu Xiaoyi over to Ran Kaiyu. Akiba, you help me take care of her. Ran Kaiyu nodded hurriedly, indicating that he would definitely be. It's just that she doesn't know what Zhou Jingming will do. At this time, Li Hongde, who was holding in her arms, was carried away. The woman holding Li Hongde walked out of the police station side by side with Zhou Jingming. Seeing Li Ziyi, Ran Kaiyu was stunned. Li Ziyi, she still knows something. She suddenly thought of something, and the look on her face was shocked. After digesting this matter, she comforted Lu Xiaoyi. Sister Xiaoyi, don't worry, my nephews and nieces will be safe and sound.